Hey guys, my name is Tristan, and if you are new here, please like, subscribe, share, and comment, and hit that bell for all the latest content. So the 2023 Honda Civic SI is the newest addition to my garage, and this was a vehicle that I was never supposed to own. Actually, it wasn't even on my radar, but I'm going to explain to you how it ended up in my possession and why this practical performer is the best daily driver for any car enthusiast. Let's get to it. Now, before we dive into this Honda Civic SI, I want to give a humongous shout out to Russell & Smith Honda here in Houston. And guys, I'm putting their contact information down below. And I want to give also a specific shout out to Andy, Karan, and Francisco, because these are the guys that specifically helped me out in obtaining this 2023 Honda Civic SI. Now, one of the things that blew my mind about this vehicle, again, this was never on my radar, was that number one, it's actually very difficult to find. Number two, there's actually market adjustments on these vehicles. So for that matter, again, I kind of went through this whole ordeal with my, 2023 Toyota GR Corolla Circuit Edition, and not for 1 second did I believe that that same sort of process was applicable to this vehicle here. But again, guys, Russell & Smith Honda definitely took care of me, because I called around everywhere. I even called out of state all the way up into Georgia. And let me tell you guys, it's either already spoken for, okay? There are multiple people for the vehicle, or if it is available, these dealerships are doing additional, add-ons or market adjustments and so forth. But Russell & Smith Honda, Andy and his team were the ones that were able to get me the closest to MSRP. I mean, they completely just blew everybody out the water, and this is why this vehicle is here with me. So again, big shout out to Russell & Smith Honda, Andy, Karan, and Francisco. And let's actually run to a short clip here with Francisco whenever I picked up the vehicle. All right, guys, so you guys are actually looking at my brand new 2023 Civic SI. Big shout out to Russell & Smith here. The team here, Karan in finance, we got Andy as well, and of course we got Francisco here. So listen, they took any words, man, as far as
if you don't want it, I'll buy it.
Yeah, there you go. So listen, these guys did a great job. They literally beat every single Honda dealership that I called for. And I know you guys are probably wondering, man, I was like, man, I thought you were a Toyota guy. Listen, there's a reason why the S3000 is sitting in my driveway, right? I am a Honda guy at heart as well. And of course got my father there, but guys, I'm so happy, man. This is actually a great replacement for the Prius. Would you agree, Francisco?
Hell yeah.
And by the way, man, you own an SI too, right?
Yeah, I own a 2019 Civic SI.
And how do you like driving that manual?
Love it.
And how old are you, by the way?
22.
Guys, you hear that? 22 years old driving a manual. So where y'all at, man? Everybody who can't drive a manual, you understand why it's so cool, right?
Hell yeah. I don't care about the traffic. It's just the way it drives.
Hell yeah, man. All right. Beautiful. So I also want to provide you guys a little bit of a historical reference as to why I started shopping around for a daily driver and how I ended up with this 2023 Honda Civic SI. So for those of you who've been keeping up with the channel, thank you so much, by the way. You guys are aware that I owned or previously owned a 2021 Toyota Prius, and that was an amazing vehicle. It served its purpose. It was averaging 58, 59 miles per gallon. There was a lot of space where I can store things and whatnot. But one of the things that that vehicle lacked, especially for a car enthusiast like myself, was that overall driving experience. I mean, it was very bland, lifeless. I mean, I absolutely just dreaded the driving experience with the Toyota Prius. And so therefore, that was sort of replaced by the GR Corolla Circuit Edition. And during this time, I was daily driving my TRD PRO Tundra, which of course, if you guys are watching the other videos, that is currently with HAAS Toyota, and Tony and his team are doing a great job. But again, there is that major recall in which the vehicle can actually catch on fire. So the potential ETAs, maybe I will get the truck back later this year. We'll have to wait and see. And thus far, I am driving that 2022 booger green Tacoma, lime rush green, but booger green to my daughter. And believe it or not, guys, I actually hate the driving experience of that Tacoma, which I'll probably explain in a later video. But when I started shopping around, I said, you know what, let's start off with this vehicle here, right? It was a 2009, give or take, Toyota Yaris, okay, used 50,000 miles, manual transmission. And man, the crazy thing about it was that it was either you pay for it in cash in full, which I was not going to do for an older vehicle, or if you finance it, the interest rates are through the roof. So therefore I said, okay, not the Yaris, right? So I started shopping around for newer vehicles. I landed into the, I guess the area in which Mitsubishi came into my radar, which I haven't looked at Mitsubishi in a long time since the Evo, right? But the Mitsubishi Mirage, I guess, Rally Sport. And let me tell you guys, this is by far one of the worst vehicles I have ever driven, ever. Okay, no exaggeration there. I mean, I guess the power is there, right? Because all of 78 horsepower is pushing that vehicle. And during our test drive, we almost got hit by a Cadillac Escalade trying to merge on the highway, and I was flooring this thing in sport mode. Okay, so therefore the Mirage was out the picture. Then I started looking at the Nissan Sentra, but they didn't really have anything there. And again, it wasn't really sort of my niche, right? It wasn't for me. I didn't have that feel for it. And I said, you know what? Let me go back to Honda, right? Back to my roots. As again, most of you know, I own the 2001 Honda S2000, which unfortunately, by the way, suspension is blown on that one. So I'll be upgrading that and we'll go from there. But I started looking at Honda and I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and look at the Honda Civics. And therefore, of course, the Type R was definitely out of the question. I didn't even want to look at that, right? With all these market adjustments on that vehicle. But started looking at the EX, the Touring and whatnot. And then for just a couple thousand more, I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and just see what the availability is, right? For Honda Civic SI, right? It's a little bit more for me there. And when I started doing my research, that's when I started to realize, like, wow, this vehicle is actually difficult to find. I would call and they said it's already spoken for, or I would call and they said they have market adjustments and things of that nature. And so with that being said, I really honestly gave up on it. And I started looking at the 2023, 2024 Toyota Prius, which surprisingly comes in about $6,000 higher than the previous gen, right? So that was a little kind of concerning there. So I didn't know what to do. And I did reach out to Russell and Smith, and this vehicle here, believe it or not, was actually technically spoken for. They had 4 people on the list for this vehicle, but I get this random text from Andy, right, the morning of, and said, hey, you have the opportunity to get this vehicle. Can you make it? And I said, well, yeah, heck yeah, let's see what we can do. And well, here we are, right? Now, the great thing about Russell and Smith is that they really worked with me, right? So, I mean, again, I understand it's a high demand vehicle. I understand there's going to be certain market adjustments. Did I get the vehicle exactly at MSRP? No. But did I get it close enough? Probably the closest to MSRP you can get. Okay. And again, guys, because everyone's situation is a little bit different in terms of, you know, your credit, what you're putting down, if you're trading anything in, whatever the case might be. To give you some perspective, they blew out, for example, there was a dealership out, I think, in Mississippi. They beat them by almost $7,000. Okay, so that just gives you an idea in which how well Russell and Smith, Andy and his team took care of me. And again, guys, every situation is going to be different. But for those of you potentially shopping around for, you know, a Honda Civic SI, things like that, I just want you to be aware that this is a high demand vehicle. Supply and demand is still in place. You're going to have to do some legwork. And believe it or not, for me, I definitely had to do some work because I already paid a market adjustment on my GR Corolla Circuit Edition. So therefore wanted to make sure. And again, Russell and Smith Honda took great care of me. Now let's dive into the vehicle. All right, so now switching over to a POV perspective, right? Just because, well, I don't have the luxury of a camera guy here. But one of the first things that really attracted me to this 2023 Honda Civic SI was the overall appearance. It definitely gives me vibes from the Euro Accord, right? The Euro version Accord. And it just has sort of that timeless look to it, man. Like, I think this is by far, in my honest opinion, one of the best looking I guess, generation Civics that they've come up with. And, you know, again, the Type R is a hatchback version, but again, the front's very similar. But I just absolutely love how this thing looks, right? And so, therefore, and of course, there were different colors, and I really wanted black. And I'm so, again, very lucky that I've been able to land the vehicles in the color that I've been wanting. But overall, it's just a very, very attractive vehicle, man. I think my favorite part of this vehicle is definitely the front. And of course, there you see Russell and Smith there rocking them, right? So thank you guys again. Now, the other thing about, I guess, this Honda Civic SI, what confused me at first was that I initially thought this thing had fog lights, because if you look down here below, right, it kind of looks like it has fog lights, but it's actually just sort of a gloss appearance to it. That is completely empty. And I believe the Touring Edition is the only one that comes with the fog lights. But again, the overall appearance of this vehicle, man, I was just absolutely in love with it, man. And again, I was initially planning on keeping this thing stock, but unfortunately, the mod bug has hit me, guys. The mod bug has hit me, and I already have parts in order, okay? The goal for this vehicle is, so you guys want to stay tuned for that. I will be doing a full OEM build. I will be doing some sort of exhaust work because, again, the exhaust system on this vehicle is kind of lackluster, right? It doesn't have the burbles and pops that you would expect. It actually doesn't even really have a tone at all. It's very quiet. And so I want a little bit of a growl there. So I'm definitely kind of looking around to see what kind of exhaust system I'm going to have. And then, of course, the wheels look great, but I'm still on the fence as to whether or not I'm going to change them out. And if I do, it will definitely be a set of wheels that's sort of in a bronze finish. Therefore, might be CE28s, might be TE37s, might be work wheels. We'll figure it out. But definitely, I'm not going to leave this stock. Now, in terms of the motor, right? So this vehicle here is obviously rocking that K20 motor, right? That potent K20 motor. This is pushing sort of, I guess, a 1.5 liter, roughly about 200 horsepower, 192 pounds of torque. Of course, matted to that 6-speed manual transmission, which, of course, is one of the selling points for me. It gets you 0 to 60 roughly in about 6 seconds, right? It's not great, but then again, in return, right? Because again, the purpose of this vehicle for me was a daily driver. It's still giving me about 27 city, 37 highway, but believe it or not, combined, I'm actually hitting about 39 miles per gallon. So, man, for 39 miles per gallon and still giving you the driving experience that you're looking for, just overall, just an amazing combination. And again, there are other vehicles in this price range. So again, instead of being that low 30s, right, price range, give or take, you're now having sort of competition in terms of the Elantra N and I guess the Super WRX. But believe it or not, even though this is front wheel drive, right, the driving experience is amazing because most of the vehicles that I've driven before have been rear wheel drive or all wheel drive. But man, to be honest with you, this is still a great driving experience. And one of the things that Honda does really well is their transmission. And I'm surprised to say this, but I think the driving experience for this vehicle, right, especially the crisp shifting experience that it provides you, gave me vibes of that of my Honda S2000. I honestly think that even the shifting aspect of this vehicle is even better than my GR Corolla, right? So that's the impressive part about Honda. Now, outside of obviously ordering the full HPD OEM lip kit here, I'm still on the fence, and I'd love to hear your feedback and comments down below. Should I keep the vehicle untinted, right, with the fishbowl appearance, or should I tint it, right? One of the reasons why I asked is because I love the fact that the red seats, right, from the Civic, I know it's a little bit of reflection, but the red seats kind of pop out there. So I really love that particular aspect there. I know it kind of looks kind of tinted there, but it's not. But so still debating on that. Love to hear comments below. Any other suggestions in terms of that? You know, it's funny. At my age, I never thought that I would still be excited about modifying a Civic. I thought those days were gone. But man, this platform right here is just the potential for it is just there. And therefore, you know, I got the mod bug, right? So again, and I will be updating you guys in terms of that. So now let's go to the interior. You know, one of the things that Honda did really well with this Honda Civic SI, I love the interior, right? So it still provides you the cloth seats, and that's okay with me because this car stays outside, and therefore, of course, with the leather, you experience the cracking and whatnot, but it's still definitely a great quality to it. Even though they didn't continue it in the back, I'm okay with that. But man, the room in the back, let me kind of show you guys here. It's actually great. So I've taken the family out here, especially with my daughter in her car seat, several times already, and they fit comfortably fine in here. So for a Honda Civic, this is actually some great legroom. And the funny thing is that you're looking at this now, the interior of this Honda Civic is actually better than that of the Tacoma that I'm driving. So that gives you some perspective on that, right? But it still has your 9-inch touchscreen, right? I love the flushness of the AC vents, right? It's just an overall great look. They got the manual transmission there. Now, one of the things I want to highlight, right? Because if you guys are aware of the GR Corolla, it does not come with a center console, right? Or storage aspect to it. And the theory in that in which is because, well, because it is a, I guess, performance focused vehicle, right? And I get it. When you're shifting, you can actually hit your elbow on the actual center console, which when I had my 2018 STI Limited, I bought that JDM center console. And sorry, you see the mosquitoes there, man, I'm getting torn up. But the center console in the JDM STI sat higher, and there were several times in which I was shifting into second or fourth or sixth that my elbow would actually make contact with the center console. But the great thing about what Honda did is that, number one, how deep their cup holders go, but yet they somehow managed to still incorporate a storage unit there. So I think Toyota, take some notes, man, because they did a great job here on that. And of course, outside of this attractive interior, right? Honda, of course, on the Civic SI, they have a standard Bose system, right? It's a 12-speaker Bose system. I don't know if you guys can see that there. But definitely the tunes are definitely clear and crisp. Love it there. So the trunk of the Honda Civic Si is great, man. It's roughly about 14.4 cubic feet, but they do have the 60/40 split seats there to provide you a little bit more room if need be. But I also already ordered the actual cargo hooks per se for groceries and whatnot, because this is going to be my grocery getter. But the trunk space is actually fairly impressive. You know, the tray mat actually came with it already. But again, guys, this vehicle definitely provides you a decent amount of trunk room to put whatever luggage or groceries or whatever that is that you're buying. And for me, for myself, most importantly, my daughter's stroller or wagon. So as we conclude this video, this 2023 Honda Civic Si was never supposed to be in my possession. But thank you to the efforts of Andy, Russell and Smith, and the rest of the team there, this vehicle is now my favorite daily driver. So many more videos to come in terms of the build here. So I'll continue to kind of update you guys on that. Once the parts start coming in, I'll even do a POV. We'll kind of update in terms of the driving experience, everything. So many more videos to come. And again, guys, also the GR Corolla Circuit Edition, the Tundra, and whether or not I'm actually going to be keeping the Honda S2000 now that it's starting to experience a little bit of problems, right? As any old vehicle would. But now I'm on the fence as to whether or not I even want to dump any more money into it or trade it in for something a little bit better. But until then, you guys have a good one.